So I have this secondhand dining room table, which has been outside in the weather, and the finish, the sun, and I guess what little moisture there was, has pretty much ruined the finish on this. And so I have an idea of what I'm going to do. The table itself, there's just these little clips that I need to unscrew, and then this whole thing will lift off. And the chairs are in pretty good shape. I'm just gonna use a cleaner on those. And of course, this is one of my deer hide seats that I did whilst I was still in North Carolina, and it, just by chance, it's the same height as the other chairs, since there were only 3 of these. Anyway, so this is my next project, and I will share it with you. And if you have a table or something else, you might want to try this. I do want to say I had done this whilst I lived in North Carolina at a friend's house, well, her studio, my friend Dorothy. We did the floor like this, and then in another person's house when I was helping them remodel, I did the floor using the same technique. The floors here are beautiful, so I'm not, I don't need to do anything to the floors, but this table needs help. So yeah, let's get started on this project. So this is the surface on the table, and all this old finish needs to come off. So I need to sand this. I would prefer to do it outside because I don't want this stuff to get everywhere in the house because of the cats. Right now, it's a pretty nice day out there. There's a light breeze. However, the cats are enjoying the sunshine and the birds are out there in the yard feeding, so I don't want to disturb anybody right now. And in a couple hours, I'll be able to go out there, take this table apart, and do the sanding. In the meantime, here is this bag of various things: brown paper, packing paper, paper bags, brown paper that y'all would use if you were wanting to protect a floor while painting or whatever. So the task ahead for me right now is going to be to crumple all these pieces, uncrumple them, and crumple them again, and then just leave them, of course. When I do that, one kitten will come and help me with this project. So the purpose of crumpling and uncrumpling and then re-crunching it is that it's going to put more lines and porosity into the paper, because once the table is sanded, I'm going to be mixing white Elmer's glue or school glue, whatever y'all call it, with water and soaking the crumpled paper in that, and then applying it to the clean sanded table surface. That will be, so that's a couple steps away. But for the moment, just doing this is what's required. So I'll be enjoying the morning, sitting out here in the sunshine on the floor with the cats, and just doing this. And I know Penny will be helping me because that's her job. So using different thicknesses and different colored brown papers will add to the interest of this table once it gets glued to it. And now you're probably thinking, well, that's crazy. You're going to glue paper to a table surface, and what's going to protect it? Well, the same thing that's protecting it, or was protecting it now, which is polyurethane. And when I did the floors at my friend Dorothy's studio, we did, I think we did 10 coats of poly, and in between, like every third, well, after the first coat, and then like after the third and 7th and 9th coats, we were sanding the poly with steel wool to make a little bit of a rough surface on it so that we could put the next coats of poly onto it. And doing that made the surface really safe and impervious for, you know, dragging furniture around on it. And her studio was not just an art and sewing studio. She also did healing for people because she was a craniosacral therapist, and so she also did that work in her studio. So, you know, you're moving chairs around and massage tables and stuff, and you want a floor surface that's going to hold up to that kind of traffic, and it did. And then when I did the other floor for my friend when we were remodeling, it was a spare bedroom, so it wasn't going to see as much high traffic. And I said, I'm going to do 12 coats of poly on this, which they thought was a little excessive, but it turned out to be a really good thing. So, yeah. So once we get the sanding done here, me and the cats, I will be, and I'll be happy to show you that part of it as well. As we're, once I'm able to get out there, I'll set up the camera and just show you. But it's sort of boring. It's just sanding a surface. But I'll show you what I'm doing, and then the final thing will be gluing these papers to it. Now my question is, we've got some really good weather coming up over the next few days, and what I may try to do, as long as it's not going to be windy, is set up some sawhorses out there and do the whole process of the gluing of the paper outside again, because I don't want the cats to help me with that in here. And I don't want to get any of this stuff on the floor, although I have tarps and things I can put down to protect the surfaces. Anyway, I'm going to continue with this, and I'll be back in just a little while and show you all the next step. All right. Well, I have crumpled the paper. And yeah, it's going to be everywhere in the house, thanks to this little one. Oh my goodness. Okay, I have taken the top of the table off of the stand. I'm going to go ahead, well, I've got this opportunity to flip the stand over easily, put these felt things on like I've done with all the chairs. So let me do that. I have some assistance at the moment. And they're self-stick. So I'm just peeling them off and put them on there like that. All right, I'm gonna get the rest of them on here. Yeah, that's gonna be much better for the floor. There was some sort of a, I don't know, plastic thing on there, but it was pretty well worn off from being outside. Anyway, now I have to get this thing outside. In order to do that, I have to put the cats in the other room so they don't just wander out the door, because it's gonna take me a minute. This, even without the legs, is substantially heavy. Okay, I've gotten this table outside, so I need to run an extension cord for the small sander, but I'm gonna do some of this stuff by hand at first. So see if I can set my camera up so you'll be able to see what's going on. Well, knowing this is gonna be a pretty busy day with work, I started this pizza last night by making the dough, and this morning I did the sauce, and I've got some yellow squash, some mozzarella cheese, some goat cheese, and some grated cheese. So I'll put this together and get it in the oven, and I'll show you that in a second. Some layers of sauce, cheese, now the squash, more cheese and more sauce. Okay, gonna stick this in the oven and set the timer. I will link the pizza recipe. It's quite a while back on my channel, but I'll link it in the description below. Well, oh yeah, it's good. All right, that's for later. Okay, so I've already been working on this. First thing was to take one of my small sheetrock trowels and be chipping off whatever I could chip off from the surface. Then the next thing I did was went over the surface with my little sanding block to, again, loosen up more stuff. There's a couple areas here where the water damage started to warp the wood, so I want to pay special attention to sanding that area just to make sure that it's going to be okay. And then finally, the warrior time with various grits on the bottom of my little sander. So I'll just set you up here briefly so you can see this, but it's pretty boring. Just saying. See that little hole right there? It's some sort of a ground-dwelling wasp that's starting to dig this. I'm hoping it comes back so I can show you what it's doing. There she is. She's excavating. Whilst we use shovels and spading forks and augers. Nature. Oh my gosh, how cool. How cool is that? So originally I was going to put some pea gravel down here to just kind of tidy up this spot, but I may have to rethink my ideas. I'll see what nature wants to do before I start renovating the ground here where fellow creatures are dwelling. So I just took that little time out to see what the wasp was doing there in the ground, but about halfway there on the sanding. Okay, there we go. In the words of Jim Varney from the Ernest P. Worrell series, Makita Warriors, they're dangerous. It's a little after 2. I'm not quite sure what time I started this, but the table is good and it's a little warm, so I'm going to wait just a little while before I start the next step. Okay, I just put a plastic trash bag, which I'll reuse for trash after this is done, in one of my little basins, and this is the Elmer's glue all. This is the extra strong formula. So just gonna empty the glue in here, and I'm gonna start out with just two bottles. And, I've got some more of this, so hopefully it will be enough. So one online recipe said to mix the glue half and half with water. That's not going to give me quite enough, so I'm going to use a little bit more water. Okay, so I think, yeah, I can actually add maybe 3 to 1. Seems like it might be better because that's still pretty stiff glue. All right, let me go ahead and do that. Hold on. Okay, I'm just gonna start that over because the camera, I've got it linked on my little step ladder and it kept sliding over. So hopefully this is gonna be okay now. But what I was saying is I just spread a little bit of the glue onto the table, and then I started soaking the papers in the glue water mix and starting to spread them out. And what I was saying was, whilst I was sanding, I wasn't sure which way to do this, and I finally decided, because this is a round table, it made more sense to be starting in the center of the table and working my way out to the edges, rather than like when we were doing Dorothy's studio, or I was helping my friend, we start on the perimeter of the room and work our way across the room towards the doorway, because you need to be able to get out of the room. But this is a little bit different scenario, so hopefully it's gonna be okay. There's a slight breeze now. It's really challenging to believe that just the other day it was snowing here, and it was 18 degrees that night, because it's pretty nice out here today. I've been able to climb out of my jeans and put my shorts and my tank top on so I could get some vitamin D while I was out here working. So, yeah, this is gonna go pretty quick. So again, I don't know how much of this to actually film for y'all, because you can see what I'm doing, and I don't want to waste a lot of film time and waste a lot of your day watching something that once you see it, you understand the concept of what's happening. So more here, small piece, and just overlapping. And some of the videos that I've watched where people are doing this, they do stain their floors. Not sure if I will do that on the table. Just getting more paper. Yeah, it absorbs pretty quick thanks to all the crunching, and that's, I mean, the prep work of crunching the paper is probably one of the more important things to make this work, so that the paper will be very porous and readily accept the glue. So, yeah, squeeze that out a little bit. And I was trying to make as many rough tear edges as I could, because that again adds more interest to the surface. Make it a little bit prettier. And I think, with the sun being on here, I think this is going to dry fairly quickly, depending on what the temperature is tonight. And I haven't watched the weather yet to see. I may be able to get the first coat of poly on here this evening if this dries sufficiently. Just a little while here, I think. The main thing is just wanting to cover all the exposed wood with this. And leaving the surface as rough as possible with the sanding, so that the glue and the water would adhere to this. Yeah, this is going pretty quick, going good. So I may just go ahead and pause the camera now, so I'm not wasting film on y'all and watching the same thing over and over again. And I'll be back in a few moments, show you as we're getting closer to finishing. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna take the camera off the stand and just show you what it looks like all the way around. So hold on. Well, there it is. That's the surface. And then underneath, you can see where I overlapped, just, getting the edges. And here and there's some little things like this, which I will take care of once it's completely dry and I can just trim those off easily. The next step is for me to do the poly, but that will be sometime tomorrow. I'm hoping that there's no high winds tonight, throwing dust around on this or knocking it over, worse than throwing dust. And I'll see y'all tomorrow for the first coat of poly. Good morning. Welcome back to the next day of project dining room table. I just used my thermometer, my laser thermometer, to see if the table surface was warm enough, and it is. So I'm just going to begin putting on the first layer of the poly. Hopefully y'all can see that. It's the spar urethane. Sunlight, rain, moisture, temperature changes, indoor and outdoor, although once this table is done, it's going to be only indoors. I went around the underside of the edge that I showed you all last night and trimmed off the little stray pieces. So if I get this on now, the temperature on the table was 72, 73 degrees. There's a light breeze out here, and this should be dry and pretty quickly. So while it's drying, I'll get my shower and get some other things done this morning in the house. I'll be able to sand this and recoat it, 2 more coats, and then more dry time, and then I'll be able to sand it again. So that's what's going on this morning. I'll stop here, get this done, show you what the surface looks like after I finish coating it with the first covering. All right. Okay, and I'm back. So I have sanded it and put the next coat on. Then I ran a bunch of errands and I've come back. So there's no sanding on this coat, but this next coat that I'm putting on, I'm gonna do some decorative stuff. It's an experiment. I have no idea what it's gonna look like, but I'm gonna share it with you. So as you know from watching my videos, you're not going to see me wearing nail polish. I do too much stuff that would just ruin it. However, I was in, I guess it's Dollar General a couple months back, and I saw these little sparkly things that women who do their nails add as decorative touches. And I thought, oh, that kind of looks like, you know, the reflections of crystals like amethyst or jade or fluoride. And I thought, let's see what happens if I put them on and then seal it into this table. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, it's so bright out here. I don't know if this is gonna show up until I get in the house in the shade, but all right, this has to cure for at least an hour, and then I can put the next coat on, and then after that it'll be sanding again, and then another coat. Okay, get ready because it could be blinding. Yep. All right, there's the first coat. All right, see y'all in about an hour, which will just be a moment in the video. Well, I have just put the last coat on. I sanded it, put the last coat on. It's gonna dry overnight. Tomorrow we will reunite the tabletop with the table legs. I'm so excited. Okay, this is looking really good. Super happy to share this with you. Now, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer whatever I can. This works on floors, it works on walls, it works on furniture. Just have some fun. And yeah, super happy how this turned out, and it's gonna be such a joy to have friends around it and be able to share meals and conversation and good times. All right, I'll show you the final thing once we get it back in the house. Well, there it is. I managed to get it in the house this evening, so I didn't have to wait for the morning. There's the dining room, and quite the transformation. Thanks for joining me. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer if I'm able to. And I would just say, if you've got a project, you know, Elmer's glue, some paper bags, a little bit of time, you know, it's worth it. All right, see you in the next video. Till then.